Brian, it goes without saying, quite an unusual January transfer window this year for many reasons. As a whole, can you sum it up for us?
The strangest transfer window I've ever had in 25 years in football, if I'm honest. We have had absolutely everything thrown at us. Complications, medicals, people going back on their word. And obviously we've had to deal with Steve, making sure that he was okay in hospital, which obviously wasn't great, but at the end of the day, his health comes first. But first of all, I'd just like to pay tribute to Keith Burt, our head of recruitment, who's come in, that Steve brought in. He has been absolutely exceptional throughout this window, speaking to Steve on a very regular basis, and it's certainly eased a lot of my workload that, that we've managed to share it between us and get to the point whereby we could get the 5 players that we have got in over this window. I think we started off, early by getting Matt Pennington and Harry Chapman in as well, which was good additions. Good to get early business. I think sometimes as the window goes on, because it seems to last so long, even though it's only a month, that you forget that we made those early signings, and then David Davis coming in, Nathaniel Better coming in to give us another left back option as well, and then culminating last night with Curtis Main coming in as well to bolster our striking options. We honestly have had everything. I've seen everything this window. I could honestly write a book on the comings and goings of the last 31 days or 32 days as it turned out this year. Players changing their mind at the very last minute. One player deciding that he wants to play a different position from where his loan club wanted him to play, that he was geared up to come. I've seen medical problems. I've seen players wanting to come on more money than they're actually on, so that you're actually paying the lending club more money than they're actually on, so they get a bonus. So it shows you sometimes it's not just about playing football, it's about money. I've seen loan agreements being all set up, waited ages for, get to the point of everything's ready to come in, and then a slight change of heart at the last minute, whereby somebody wants to fight for their place at their parent club. The whole window has just been interesting, to say the least. It's non-stop, and I'm glad it's shut now, to be honest with you. It's been a very busy time for myself, Keith, and the manager as well, and hopefully now it's less calls for Steve to take from Keith to look over the overview players, and hopefully he can just concentrate on his health now and continue to make improvements.
Let's start mainly going back to the positives. The signings that you have brought in have already made quite a significant impact to the squad, haven't they? So you must be pleased, although fans might say we perhaps could have brought in a few more numbers. It's not necessarily about that from what I gather. It's more about what you can bring in is really important. That it improves the squad that we currently have.
Well, I think, in the early stages with Matt Pennington and Harry Chapman, I think Harry Chapman showed his class at the weekend, and that's what we're looking to bring. A bit more quality. Obviously got 2 good goals at the weekend. Matt Pennington has started well. Obviously, it's undisappointing that he's picked up the injury, which we hope isn't too long. It's just one of those situations that any player can get injured at any time. But I think the early showings of Matt Pennington look good. Hopefully we'll see David Davis tonight. And Nathaniel, I thought, had a great debut on Saturday for a young man who's got a bright future in the game and has been schooled with Man City. To be fair to him, he was all about playing football. Without getting into the financial details, but he obviously took a hit to come in because he felt that this was the right time in his career to go and play football. And it's a massive thing for him on Saturday to make his league debut. But I thought he acquitted himself really well and had a good steady game, and he's one that will just get better and better. So I do think we've brought in those players plus Curtis last night. We needed to strengthen the striking options as well, and Curtis is a player that I've known and followed quite a bit in Scotland, and I think all the reports we got from Scotland about how hard a worker he is, how he's so strong as well, and how he links play up for everybody else as well as scoring goals too. So we've got high hopes for him. He's looking at coming back down to England and obviously making a name for himself as well, because he hasn't had a brilliant time at Aberdeen. He had a good time at Motherwell before that. Although he's played a reasonable amount of games for Aberdeen, even ahead of Sam Cosgrove, who just went for 2 million or whatever yesterday to Birmingham City. So, I think we'll see good work ethic from Curtis as well, and we're looking forward to seeing all the players basically prove their points and make an impact in our starting 11, hopefully.
Let's just briefly talk about the wing-back situation. I think it's fair to say fans were a little bit disappointed to see the likes of Matt Miller and Charlie Daniels not stay at the club. Can you provide some form of insight as to why that happened?
Yeah, I mean, the difficulty with Matt Miller was we had an option to purchase him. But I think having just spoken to Steve at length about it, we just felt that, in an ideal scenario, yes, we would have kept Matt Miller at the right price. But bearing in mind he only had like 3 months left of his contract, it just became a stalemate. And I think, to be fair to Matt as well, he came over and he wanted to go back to Australia for a bit of time. I think the whole COVID situation that we've all been through recently, and sometimes it's even quite difficult. You look at him now, he wouldn't be able to go back to Australia now because all the flights are stopped for the United Arab Emirates. So it's one of the things. I think in deep down, Matt also was of opinion that it was the right time for him to go back, play some football. He's out of contract at the end of the season, and then he can review what he does going forward. Charlie Daniels, disappointing one, probably more disappointing that he wouldn't play against Southampton in the FA Cup despite being contracted with Shrewsbury Town. I felt that there was a little bit of loyalty lost there because he had injuries before he came and proved himself at Shrewsbury, did well. But as soon as a club closer to home, when a Portsmouth come along, they seem to steal quite a few of our players over the years, shall we say. But listen, that's football for you. I think what the most disappointing thing is that he wouldn't play against Southampton when we really needed him. Scott Goulburn was just returning from an injury and wasn't fully fit, and to leave us in the lurch while he was still under contract was probably a bit of sour grapes for me personally. That's my own feeling on it. We still, obviously, we've got Nathaniel and Scott Goulburn at left wing back, and we've got options at right wing back, whether that's Ryan Sears, Donald Love, Josh Daniels can play in there as well. So we have got options in there, plus there's a couple coming back from injury too. I think we also need to remember here, we're restricted to a 22-man squad, and that's where it becomes very difficult picking off the 22 players who, age 21 or over, can be within that 22. It is quite difficult then to get as many players. I think we would all like to have signed another wing back, maybe another left wing back, maybe another couple of strikers or whatever, and maybe try to enhance the squad a little bit. Steve wanted a smaller squad than we had, and I think it was just a case of trying to fit it into the 22-man squad, which can fill up very quickly.
I'm not going to delve into all the names that have been floated about the last couple of weeks, obviously heavily on social media and online, but one I've got to touch on is Will Grigg. It was heavily rumoured that he was linked with us. Can you give any form of insight as to what happened there?
Yeah, I'll tell you the full story. We did agree everything with Sunderland. We did agree everything with Will. Obviously, from Sunderland's point of view, they were looking to get somebody else in, which ended up being Ross Stewart, which we were kind of aware of. So we, having been given his word that he would be coming to Shrewsbury, and we given the word that from Sunderland that he wouldn't be going anywhere else. Unfortunately, I think the fact that there was a hold-up then appearing in media circles last Friday alerted MK Dons, and MK Dons and Russell Martin got in his head between Friday and Sunday, even though that we actually had an agreement ready and signed, waiting to be signed by Sunderland, and we had an agreement, obviously, with Will to come all of last week. So, listen, in football, sometimes these things can happen, but I like to think if I give my word to somebody that I wouldn't let them down, but maybe I'm just too honest for that. It's very disappointing. Unfortunately, Will phoned me on Sunday to tell me that he wanted to go to MK Dons now. So he was left in no uncertain terms how I felt about it. He probably wish he hadn't bothered picking up the phone to contact me. Such was the conversation. But listen, we move on. That's football. We think we've got a strong squad here. I think you look at the results we've had since the beginning of December, especially when Steve's come in, obviously. turn things around. Another good performance and good well-earned victory on Saturday against Peterborough, a strong Peterborough side who we didn't let them play at all. So we do believe that we've got a stronger squad, we've got a tighter squad as well. We've got cover in every position, and it's hopefully within the number of games we've got between now and the end of the season, we can stay injury free and COVID free as well, now that most of them have had it. So hopefully we can now kick on towards the end of the season. Now the window's shut, that's our squad, and I'm looking for us to try and improve our league position, continue to improve our league position going forward.
And just finally, Brian, how challenging has it been doing a transfer window with the manager being in hospital throughout the duration of the window?
Very challenging. Listen, it's been very challenging. However, what I would say about Steve is, anybody who knows Steve, he is very intense and wants involved in absolutely everything. So to be fair to Keith, he's been on the phone to Keith until stupid o'clock at night and early in the morning and all through the day. So they have had there's been regular contact and regular communication between Keith and myself and Steve to make sure that where we were heading with targets and where we were getting to, the squad had to be what Steve was looking for as well. And to be fair, he sent me a lovely text this morning just thanking me for all my hard work over the window. It's been a long process, even going to last night. I ended up on FaceTime to Curtis to show him where he was signing the forms, because we couldn't get him down in time to sign it, so we had to sign at Aberdeen. So it's the first time I've ever signed a player by FaceTime. But it's a difficult situation, and the last thing we wanted to do with Steve going back to him is for Steve to impact on his health, because the most important thing for him was to leave Keith and I to concentrate on recruitment, just give him, he would obviously have the final say on every single one we had, and we were looking to do so. He was fully aware of everything that was going on behind the scenes, and we just hope now that the window's shut, he can concentrate more fully on getting his health back and getting back to full health first of all, and full recovery, and getting back to Shrewsbury Town when he's good and ready.